by congratulating you on the successful completion of Ayinla.
Thank you.
How many days did it take in all, and how do you feel looking back at the whole shooting process?
Shooting process. If it's shooting process, we had planned for an 18-day shoot, but we went slightly over the schedule. I think we spent 22 days off. Day, night, day, night. We didn't know of day. We just went straight 22 days. But if we talk about from ideation, from when it came to my mind to do something about that, and then progressively, I think it took almost 5 years.
5 years. Yes. Why long?
Well, because if you, first of all, you have to develop some kind of empathy for the story itself. Okay. And since I grew up in Abeokuta here, I was not just Ayinla story, because Abeokuta itself is a principal character in the film. Because I know from history that Abeokuta was a nation before the 1940 amalgamation. They had the local government authority, and they were working directly with England. And occasionally, some of the royalty visited Abeokuta at a point in history. And then Ayinla Omowura died just slightly more than 40 years ago. And there was very little left about him. He was never recorded or captured on video or film, but he left the robust body of works. And from there, we started to piece together. And then, of course, I'm aware that there are other scholars like Professor Kola Additional and Festus Adidayo, who have worked extensively on Ayinla Omowura. So the thing is, I've interviewed almost 20 people myself over time. So anytime I mentioned Ayinla Omowura project, people say, but you talked about this 3 years ago. Also, you haven't even started. My lawyer, Jide Bello, said that I requested, he wrote a letter to the family, and it gave me the exact date that it was in 2014. Anyway, I'm happy that I was able to accomplish that in my lifetime. And this was the only time that I felt that if we didn't attempt it this time, I have a feeling that it could never have happened. That would have been the end of the idea.
2020, how did it provide you the opportunity to work on the project?
I think by 2020, I'd started a documentary, and I had enough material for the documentary, and we're going to write the documentary. But then we came together with other interests, line producer, Jide Bello, Shehu Ali. They came together to put the project on a platform which was able to attract investors. We have investors in the project. And then this is the first time I've never worked like that. Externally, we had always produced a mainframe and shouldered all the burden. No, it can't no longer work like that. Things have changed. So this is the first time working with a producer, a lady producer, a line producer. So it looks as if I'm wedged between two powerful women on the project. And as you can see, we went for the A cast lists, the top cast that we felt that could do justice to the story. And I'm telling you, I'm not disappointed at all. In fact, I am excited that Nigeria is truly blessed by the quality of the actors and actresses and the technical crew that worked on the project.
Can you please share with us some of the status
Well, these are people I've never really worked with. The principal character, of course, is Ayla himself, which we found in Latif Adedimeji. Looked at him from afar, never really worked with, but I've seen what he's been doing. And he's some look-alike to Ayinla Omowura himself. Not only that, I think he's a very humble and hugely talented young man who is, I think I look at him and I think this guy will go places because he is prepared to learn and is submitted himself to the huge challenges which demanded time and concentration and Spartan commitment. And then working with Mommy Dada, and it was coming closer to these people, these young people that I realized that, well, there's hope for our industry. There are others, but I can't just recollect.
I also know Kunle was involved.
Yeah, Kunle was involved. Kunle, in fact, played. Our plot is not a day-to-day biopic of Ayla Omowura. No, we had a plot. We have a story, which is fiction basically, but it's drawing on the personality and the music, the prowess of Ayla Omowura himself. So we had a plot, and the plot simply is that a promoter, has a project of taking Akpala to London, because the normal balance is Yoruba. When we're going back, we say, Kilo Nse Kumasayi Akpala London. But this guy says, no, I'm a Akpala for London. And he felt that, yes, Ayla Omowura is a star that can shoulder this idea. And he approached the band, and they agreed. They had the contract, they signed, and that was the project. So this is bringing back the memory of Ayla, Olabisi Ayla himself, who, as you know, did some kind of relations work and so. So basically, that is the story. And again, you look at journalism in those days. We had a publisher we went back to Iwe Iroyin, which is published in Abeokuta far back. And once the news was around that Ayla was planning this project, then the editor, publisher of this newspaper gave a young lady, reporter, the responsibility to get an interview with Ayinla Omowura before they embarked on the London trip. So everybody had their motivation for this story, but at the end of it, unfortunately, he died tragically, which was totally unexpected. So everybody, failed at their aspiration.
So what's the next stage now?
We are already in post-production, and I think the film will be ready in the first quarter of 2021. And already there's been a buzz on this film. Everybody wants to see what this film is really, what it's about. All I can promise is that it's entertaining, it's drama, it's comedy. Almost the whole movie is a musical video, of course, based on Ayla Omowura's legacy. I think this is likely to kindle more interest in Ayla and Adewale music.
I noticed that a few days back you did a promo saying people should come for a musical
a concert. It was a concert.
Was that part of it?
Yes, part of the film. What has happened is that what Ayla did was, once he was able to get the attention of Ayinla, he sort of repackaged the act in a way as to reflect, to meet some international standard. So it's running through the whole film. I think we had about 4 performances or 5 performances, but the climax, the highlight was the final show at the Centenary Hall, Abeokuta. And that's why we needed everybody to come and have a fun. So what we said is we designed a sort of a Sunday jump which we called Ayla Koku. In fact, before we started the film, we tried, if it was not for COVID-19, we tried to start the Ayla Koku series as jumps in several venues. We even planned to hold it at the Funeral Park in Lagos, and then in 2 or 3 venues in Abuja. We said every Sunday we would do an Ayla Koku jump, where people come in for a few hours. It's like 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and we play nothing but Ayinla music.
How great was he when he was alive?
I really never met him when he was alive, except I had 2 glimpses of him. One night, when at the University of Ibadan, during Havana night, he was playing, and so he sat with the band, and that was my first impression of him. And then somewhere in our neighborhood, there was a sort of a fight, and I remember he was, there was a fight, and then it was a quarrel or so. He was very furious and annoyed at something, I don't know, but I know there was a woman who was trying to kneel him to placate him, but I didn't really, that's all I knew. Otherwise, I really have never seen Ayinla perform.
Are you going on to other projects now that the Ayinla project has been accomplished, as it were?
Accomplished is half of the story, because once you complete the principal photography, the work has just started, because at that point you can say that filmmaking is like building a structure, a house. What you have done is provided the sand, the gravel, the wood, electrical and all that. So it is somebody's work to now start to use all this to really construct this building, this massive structure. So that's the process we are on. It could go on for a few weeks, a month, 2 months, 3 months or so. So then that is when it will be accomplished.
What other projects do you have in the works?
Well, I have, of course, I'm like 2 or 3 films away, but I think the next project I have to do is going to be Femi Osofison's Cordelia. It's an adaptation of Cordelia by Femi Osofison.
What's the interest? What's your interest in that?
Well, it's, when you get a copy of this book, it looks so innocent book, but it's not that simple. I don't know. Sometimes that's what fascinates me when I'm working with a source material like Femi Osofison. It's a surprise that I don't know how he where he got the material, what inspired him to write such a thing. But it's against the backdrop of one of the military governments that we had. And then there was just a daughter of a general who was suspected to have been involved in a coup. And then, her life was in danger, and there was a professor who had a dysfunctional family got involved with this girl. So it's very interesting, something that I really would love to do.